The story opens with Tim Lake, a young man who considers himself too tall, too thin, and too orange. He describes his family, including his unsentimental mother, his father James, once a university professor now engrossed in reading and table tennis, his quirky uncle Desmond, and his free-spirited sister, Kit Kat. They've shared countless joyful moments in Cornwall, England, reminiscing about beach gatherings and home celebrations. One New Year's Eve, Tim reluctantly attends his parents' party. An accidental collision with a table leads to a drinks debacle with his friend Jay. Amidst the chaos, Kit Kat connects with Jimmy Kincaid, while a blonde woman shows interest in Tim. When the clock strikes midnight, instead of a kiss, Tim shakes the woman's hand, leaving her visibly disappointed as others share kisses with their partners. The following morning, Tim discusses a family secret with his father. James reveals an astonishing legacy. The men in their family possess the ability to travel through time. Skeptical yet intrigued, Tim inquires about the process. James instructs him to retreat to a dark place, close his eyes, clench his fists, and concentrate on the desired moment. However, he highlights the limitations, only revisiting moments within their own lives, no meddling with historical figures. Curious, Tim retreats to his bedroom wardrobe and attempts time travel. Astonishingly, he hears Mr. Brightside playing, finds himself in his previous New Year's outfit, and successfully kisses the blonde woman during the countdown. Overwhelmed, he shares his experience with his father, who inquires about his intentions. Tim admits he wishes to use this newfound power to find a girlfriend. Summertime brings Kit Kat's friend Charlotte to stay with the family. Tim finds himself captivated by her. During a sunscreen mishap, he embarrassingly squirts too much on her back, prompting him to discreetly leap back in time. In the redo, he composes himself and smoothly applies the sunscreen, avoiding the previous mishap. As Charlotte's visit nears its end, Tim, hesitant yet determined, approaches her room to confess his feelings. However, Charlotte presumes his intentions and advises against waiting until the last moment. Disappointed, Tim rewinds time, attempting to create a different scenario. Their chemistry sparks, but Charlotte suggests they postpone any decisions till her departure. Tim, learning that altering time won't dictate matters of the heart, faces a heartbreak as Charlotte leaves without reciprocating his feelings. Post-summer, Tim moves to London to pursue law and resides with Harry Chapman, a grumpy playwright. He starts at a law firm, befriending Rory, who becomes a constant companion in Tim's quest for romance. On a night out with Jay, Tim meets Mary in a unique restaurant setting. Bonding in the darkness, Tim and Mary connect while Jay interacts with Joanna. Mesmerized by Mary's beauty and enchanted by her personality, Tim compliments her attire and hairstyle, even acquiring her phone number before she leaves. Tim, upon returning home, finds Harry disheartened over a failed play. Driven to uplift Harry's spirits, Tim reverts time to attend the play with him. In an attempt to assist an actor, Tim faces rudeness but manages to help backstage, ensuring a flawless performance and applause. Afterward, eager to call Mary, he discovers her number missing and rushes to the restaurant where they met, only to miss her. The following day, Harry discovers a glowing review for his play, catching Tim's eye with an ad featuring Kate Moss, a topic he discussed with Mary. Determined to find her, Tim frequents the museum exhibiting Kate Moss's pictures, hoping to encounter Mary. Days pass fruitlessly until Kit Kat joins his quest. Finally, Mary appears, but when Tim approaches her, she denies ever meeting him, leaving him embarrassed. Encouraged by Kit Kat, Tim returns, coinciding with Joanna's arrival. Despite initial discomfort, Tim persuades Mary to let him join them for lunch. Learning Mary has a boyfriend, Rupert, Tim probes about their relationship, gathering details that aid his time travel. Rushing to a party Joanna mentioned, Tim aims to alter their first meeting. He engages Mary at the party, initially awkward but successfully arranging a dinner date. Their date leads to a kiss and eventual intimacy, albeit with a few hiccups. Tim time travels to perfect their encounters, eventually fostering a loving relationship with Mary. As their love blossoms, they navigate life's moments together, including a visit from Mary's conservative parents, where Tim rectifies a blunder and earns Mary's heartfelt confession of love. In one evening, Tim attends a play with Rory and spots Charlotte and her friend Tina. After the play, Tim approaches Charlotte, who introduces Tina as her girlfriend. Misinterpreting this as Charlotte rejecting him because he thinks she's a lesbian, Tim tries to rectify the situation but still fumbles, inadvertently causing a misunderstanding about Tina's relationship. Trying a third time, Tim avoids approaching Charlotte, but she initiates a conversation and invites him for dinner while ditching Tina. After dinner, Charlotte invites Tim inside, but he decides to leave, feeling something else is important. Hurrying back home, Tim finds Mary asleep and wakes her up to propose. However, she's too tired to respond. Using time travel, he arranges a jazz band and proposes again in a more tender manner, to which Mary says yes, grateful for the private proposal. Tim and Mary share their engagement news with the family. Kit Kat reveals losing another job and joyfully tackles Mary with kisses. At dinner, Tim announces their upcoming wedding and baby plans, delighting the family. They begin planning wedding details like using Il Mondo, choosing the venue, discussing the best man, and deciding on the honeymoon destination. On their wedding day, despite the pouring rain, the celebration is filled with joy for the couple. During the reception, Rory's awkward speech prompts Tim to use time travel to switch his best man choice several times. First to Harry, then to Jay, and finally settling on his dad, James. James, unsatisfied with his speech, also time travels to give a more heartfelt speech, expressing his love and admiration for Tim. Not long after, Mary gives birth to her and Tim's first child, a girl they name Posy. They eventually move into a house of their own, even though Tim states they can hardly afford it, but he and Mary are happy nonetheless. 1 year later on Posy's first birthday, Tim's family arrives but they are still expecting Kit Kat. There is a knock at the door, but it turns out to be Jimmy Kincaid. Tim asks about Kit Kat and Jimmy says that he got into a fight with her and she had been drinking earlier. Tim and Mary rush to the hospital to find out that Kit Kat was in a car accident due to her driving drunk. Tim time travels to bring Kit Kat to his house before she drives anywhere. He takes her for a walk on the beach to confront her over her problems with Jimmy. He then admits his secret to her and brings Kit Kat into a closet to time travel back to the New Year's Eve party where she first met Jimmy. She is just as surprised to find herself in her old clothes as Tim was at the beginning. Tim holds Kit Kat away from walking to Jimmy, and they see him approach another girl. Kit Kat realizes what a jerk Jimmy is, and she goes over to him to punch him square in the face. Tim takes Kit Kat back to the present and her memory has been altered, so she tells Tim that she is now with Jay. Tim is pleased to see that Kit Kat is happier with Jay, and he goes back home. When he goes to play with Posy, he is shocked to see that his daughter is now a boy. Tim time travels back to the day of the child's birth to meet his father. James tells his son that because the child was born in between the time traveling Tim did with Kit Kat, he altered the timeline so that he instead had a son. Tim realizes he must undo Kit Kat's new timeline so that Posy is born. Kit Kat still suffers the car accident, but Tim and Mary stay by her bedside until she vows to break up with Jimmy and maintain her job. Before he leaves, Tim tells Kit Kat that Jay has always had a crush on her and that she should talk to him. Sure enough, Posy is still there, and Tim plays with his daughter. He tells Mary he wants another child, though Mary doesn't want to go through the process again. Despite this, they have another baby, this time a boy named Jeff. One evening, Tim and Mary are going out to have dinner with Mary's publisher. She goes through a bunch of dress changes because she is unsatisfied with how she looks despite Tim telling her she looks lovely in anything. Mary eventually goes back to the very first dress she tried on. She asks Tim where Posy is, and he tells her he left her downstairs. Unfortunately, he left her with the publisher's manuscript, which Posy colored over in crayon and put through the paper shredder. Mary is furious, and as Tim tries to walk out so he can undo this via time travel, Mary does not let him leave. The phone then rings and she answers angrily, then apologizes when she finds out it's Tim's mother. She passes the phone to him and Tim's face becomes worried when he speaks to his mother. Tim and Mary go with Kit Kat back to the family's home in Cornwall. Kit Kat runs inside tearfully while Tim asks his mother how she is. She responds, "I am absolutely uninterested in a life without your father." Uncle Desmond tells Tim that James has lung cancer. He adds that on Tim's wedding day when James told Desmond he loved him that it was the happiest day of his life, and now learning of this news makes this the worst day. Tim meets with his dad and learns that he has merely weeks left. He admits that he's been time traveling a lot to give himself more time to spend with his family and to read a lot of books. He then tells Tim he has another secret to tell him. Tim narrates that his father gave him a two-part plan to enjoy his life. The first part is to go through a day normally as it plays out. We see Tim going to work, watching Rory get chastised by their boss, going to get lunch, and going to a courtroom case with Rory that turns out to be successful, living the day with the stresses he ought to face. The second part is to go back in time and relive the day again while embracing it for what it is. He relives that day with a more upbeat feel, even allowing Rory to enjoy the day. The day comes for James's funeral. While everybody is getting ready, Tim time travels to a moment with his father, letting him know that he is arriving from the funeral. He sits down with James to listen to him read a passage from a Charles Dickens novel. Sometime after the funeral, Mary tells Tim that she wants a third child, this one being the insurance baby, as she explains. In case one of their children ends up being smart and the other doesn't, there can be two happy dummies instead of one miserable one. Tim is on board with the idea, though he realizes that this means he would have to permanently let his father go. Over the following 9 months, as Mary is pregnant with their third child, Tim time travels to visit his father on a daily basis. On the 9th month, as Mary is nearly ready to deliver, Tim visits his father one last time. They play table tennis, and James asks what his reward should be. Tim says he will give him a kiss, and from the look on his face, James is able to determine what this means. Tim goes over to give his father a kiss, and then the two go into a dark place to time travel together to a day when Tim was a child. He and his father spend the day together at the beach. Tim and Mary's third child is born, a girl named Jo. Kit Kat and Jay have also gotten married and had a child of their own. By this time, Tim has decided that he may now live his life without time travel, as it is perfect the way it is. He kisses Mary as she lays in bed while he goes to take his children, now slightly older, off to school. A reminder to embrace the messiness of life, to hold on to the ones we love, and to find beauty in every fleeting moment. What emotions did the ending evoke for you? Share your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. And if this emotional journey resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more heart-to-heart movie discussions. Until next time, may your days be filled with love and meaningful moments. Happy watching, my friends.